Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield, and joining me today, I am so proud because we have guests in from United Way of Southeast Louisiana. I want to welcome to the program Ms. Flo Shorenstein, who is a community leader. She has been involved in so many things across New Orleans and at United Way, where she's been the chairman of the board. She's been a chair of the WLC, and right now she is chairman of the deTocqueville Society. Welcome, Flo.
Thank you so much.
I also want to welcome to the program Gary Ostrowski. Gary is our retired president and CEO, 25 years. And 40 within the New Orleans are within United Way's system. And also welcome Michael Williamson, who is our current president and CEO of United Way of Southeast Louisiana. I'm so glad you're all here today. I want to talk about a very important upcoming event. But first, I want to talk a little bit about how it's got its name and why it's become so important. And Flo, if you'll start us off, because we want to talk about the deTocqueville Society.
The deTocqueville Society was actually created by United Way of America many years ago. It's an opportunity for donors to United Way to contribute $10,000 and up each year to sustain the existing programs of United Way and to provide funds for meeting unexpected opportunities that come on in the course of time. It's existed here for many years. We have quite a cadre of members in our deTocqueville Society. We add on to that every year, I'm proud to say. And each year we have an event that honors a member of the community who has really contributed to the health and betterment of the community through United Way programs, through contributions, not necessarily at that level. This year, our event is going to be on November 20th.
And this year is especially important. I want to get back because you, too, are a deTocqueville recipient. But this year, there's a gentleman who is sitting to your left who we all know and love. And this was a very... Yes, he's rolling his eyes, but this was a very good choice and a very big choice. Come on, Flo, let's let the not-so-big cat out of the bag.
Gary Ostrowski, who has been with United Way for 40 years and here in New Orleans for many years, and there is some disagreement over whether it's 25 years or 27 years. You'll have to be the arbiter of that dispute, has seen this United Way through thick and thin. He has met every disaster and led us through it with style and with success. He is receiving this honor this year, so well-deserved. We are all thrilled that he is, and I am particularly thrilled that I am chairing at this time because I was actually on the board of United Way that selected him all those years ago.
So you knew something good when you saw it.
Made a really good choice, and it was not an easy choice. There was competition there, but I made the right choice, and so did the majority of the board.
But we must add that Gary and his lovely wife, Marianne, are both being honored.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Gary, what does this honor mean to you?
Well, it's an expression of real, honest partnership and the fact that I think we respect each other and love each other in many different ways. And I think this last 25 years, I came in 87 here, that at the end of the day, we've been through Katrina. We've been through the oil spill. We've been down through the economic downturns here and there, and we've survived. And we've survived with our heads held high. And I think that's a real important thing to remember, that United Way has been the true community quarterback, to put it that way. Not that we're in this room with all the sports paraphernalia, but at the end of the day, we really have made a big change in this community through early childhood development, through dealing with many years ago with Unity for the Homeless, which is still a challenge today, unfortunately. It just goes on. And I think that the volunteers, who are hundreds and thousands of them now, who have been involved with United Way, have made an incredible difference over the last many, many years, because I think in this community, United Way is almost 100 years old now.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about deTocqueville, too, not only... Gary, you helped institute a lot of things that were new for here. We're talking about community impact. We're talking about the philanthropic partnerships with businesses far and above and beyond just running workplace campaigns. You were an arbiter of good things to come.
Well, you had to have a product, and the product was making people more independent and self-sufficient in any way you possibly could. And, since I've retired, just give you one little illustration why I believe in that personally. I have a friend who helped me get my house back together after the storm. We had 3 feet of water in our house. And he has had cataracts growing over the last 6 years to the point now where he's blind, or he was blind. So with support of the LSU Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat Foundation, we've had both of his cataracts removed, and he's back to work. You could take the choice of saying, hey, I'm just going to lay there or sit there with my problems and do nothing about them. Or in our case, he said, I really want to get back to work. And I said, this is what it's all about. So the United Way is trying to make people more independent and self-sufficient. And deTocqueville, when he came here eons ago, he noticed that there was one thing that was significantly different from Europe, where he was from, France, and here was the fact that he called voluntarism, and he said that when the barns were burnt down, people came to help put them back up, and that was not apparently customary for something that was done, and I'm not sure what it is even now, but it's a special place, America, and and if you want to be an American, you really do need to become volunteer or volunteer your dollars if you don't have the time. But the reality of it is local people looking at local problems and coming up with great solutions. And 211 is another one that we got going here, and it's one number that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to find the best option for what your problem or your issue is.
Well, deTocqueville also talked about the generosity of spirit. So as you're saying, not only raising the barn, so to speak, but that philanthropy, too, that he noticed that we were willing to give in. And, Michael, that continues today. And now as president and CEO and having worked so closely with Gary these last couple of years, you see that this campaign and our role here is as important, if not more so, than it's ever been.
Sure, yeah. It's obvious that the challenges the community faces can't all be solved by the government, but we realize as United Way we come together and we partner with folks who have solutions to some of those problems. We can actually make a difference, and the nice thing is when you contribute to United Way, I mean you're becoming a part of that. And as I think about the event and honoring Gary and the legacy of folks like Flo and others have left, it should serve as an inspiration to others that to do what you can, when you can, whether it's giving your time or giving your money or lending your voice to a big issue in the community.
Now, Flo, I know that Tocqueville is for our, what we often say, our high wealth volunteers, high wealth individuals. But giving to United Way, you can give, you can advocate, you can volunteer, and everyone is welcome to be part of our United Way family.
Absolutely, and we have thousands of people who are part of that family in one or more of the capacities that you just enumerated. It's very exciting to see that kind of community involvement, and it's also exciting to know that United Way is an agency that studies the needs in the community, that determines what the best solutions are, and goes about solving them. When you participate in United Way financially at whatever level, you can be assured that your dollars are going to the absolute best use that could possibly be given. Not that we're the only ones in the community that can say that, but we do say that, and we mean it, and we live it.
And one thing, because of not only Tocqueville donations, but I have to put in a word here for our Women's Leadership Council, of which you've chaired. Here we are, early education. We talk about our 3 goal areas. We have education and income, and with that comes good health. And education, early education, preschool education is where it begins.
We've been working on that for a number of years, and most specifically since Katrina struck. We were part of a coalition for several years after Katrina came to rebuild child care centers and to include quality in that rebuilding. We had legislation at the state level that made quality an important, necessary factor there. And we made it possible for 700 preschoolers to enroll in quality child care programs at that time. United Way, of course, was the leader there, and we're very proud of that. Now, early childhood education has become much more the focus nationally of the needs of this country and of every community, and we continue to play an important role in that area.
And Gary, I know that's something that's been near and dear to your heart for many years, and not to mention 2 beautiful young grandchildren. I bet it's taken on an added significance.
Yeah, it's amazing because my 2 grandchildren, I have the oldest one is Ellis, who's a little over 2. And now both of them, Miles, who's 2 months. They both are involved in the LSU childcare system there, and it's a 5-star system that basically we helped kind of push in this direction, and it's been phenomenal in terms of at least looking at what's happening with Ellis. She knows her numbers, and not only in English, she knows them in Spanish, and she's not even in school yet. So that tells you how competitive we have to be in terms of a country if we're going to deal in a worldwide economy, and that has to happen now. You know, you're not going to have kids evolve into bright kids unless they're cultivated properly along the way, and you know, a lot of kids. You know, I'm on the board of Ben Franklin High School, and there are a lot of kids that are smart enough to get in, but they can't make it because they don't have a supportive environment perhaps when they go home, and they don't have parents who necessarily can help them at times. But, you know, at the end of the day, you have to have a foundation to build on, and that's the early childhood development aspect of it. And then you can go forward. And, you know, we're working with Sal Khan in terms of some other ways that are how education is provided, and it's really changing, frankly. So, but the basis is having a child who can learn and learn quickly. I heard from one of the people over at the Child Care Center that the best time to teach a child a language is 2 years old. After 2, it starts getting less and less.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's because some of the work that, Flo, you've been involved in, we all have before, and our friend at Tulane, where the brain starts to change and it starts to filter out the pathways. And so from 2 until 4, that's your optimum time to do it.
Right.
And Michael, as we're talking about this continuum of education, and Gary talks about the support system that's needed and that United Way can help provide, you've got 2 great young teens, and you're seeing it from that other perspective as they're growing up and moving on, and the need for leadership and after-school activities and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, any parent probably fully understands that it takes a great deal of support from family and friends and your school system and your neighbors to try to raise your family. And having 2 teenagers, I realize that I know for us, every night's a journey at our home, working on homework, and we have what we think to be intelligent young children, two young boys, but it's hard, and we're in a household where we have 2 parents, so. But that's the nice thing about United Way. It's like if you don't have whatever your family structure is or whatever your challenges are, there are so many supports that are available in the community, many of which are funded by United Way, that people can tap into. And so where you're at along that continuum, you can find resources, tap into them so that you can do the best you possibly can for your family. And I've never met an individual that says, I want anything less than the best for my family.
And that's where deTocqueville comes in, and all the others who give, advocate, and support United Way. And Flo, here we are one more time. deTocqueville Society, deTocqueville Gala. We mentioned at the beginning it's something very important. It's going to be November 20th. But let's give a few more details to those who are listening today, because we hope they will participate. We hope they will purchase a ticket or think about getting involved on any level with United Way.
We hope that we'll have a really banner crowd there that night. We have special honorees in Gary and Marianne. And so far, it's looking really very positive. We have a number of sponsors in the community who are underwriting the cost of the event. It's scheduled for November 20th at 6 o'clock at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. It's going to be beautiful, but beyond being beautiful, we hope it's also going to be a lot of fun. Gary and Marianne are fun kind of people.
There you go.
And we all know that. And we have a number of people who really want to be there and participate. A single ticket for the event is $250. It covers a cocktail hour as well as a very lovely dinner. and tables for 10 or 2,500. We have a number of sponsors already for tables, but you don't have to be a business to have a table. You can be an individual who wants to get a table and bring friends and family on down to the Hyatt to be part of what's going to be, I think, a wonderful, wonderful event.
And let's give a few shout-outs, as they say, to some of those corporate sponsors who are helping make this possible.
We are really excited. Shell, for the second year in a row, is the presenting sponsor, followed by People's Health and Energy. And then down the list, we have such a long list that I would have to have my own 30-minute program to enumerate them. But so many of our corporate friends really wanted to be part of this in a big way. The monies that are being raised are very significant. I do not want to not reference the Pay It Forward Fund that we created this year in honor of Gary to be able to develop some funds that will help us to provide the services that are going to be needed for unexpected events. As one of our corporate executives said, we are pleased to participate in this because it's not if, it's when the next crisis comes. And that's doing very well. We are encouraging people to give, in addition to their normal $250, $2,500, whatever, to give additionally funds for the Pay It Forward Fund. I wanted to create this particularly in Gary's honor, but also to have an ongoing vehicle through the years, not just now, but through the years, to continue to develop that fund and be able to meet unmet needs.
And I know that they all, as you said, it's not a question of when. It is. It can any day, every day, we receive a phone call from someone, and the stories are heartbreaking. And United Way wants to be there to support as many people as possible, but we can't do that without all of you who are listening today. And as we move forward, again, Michael, I'll refer back to you because that workplace campaign is all so important, and you can get involved.
Sure, yeah. We let's put it this way. If you are working for a business and are not running a United Way campaign, you need to call us. There are so many benefits to it. The list is so long. But we encourage everyone out there to consider running an employee workplace campaign or participating in some way, shape, or form. Of course, folks can visit us at UnitedWaySELA.org. You can learn more about that at our website. You can call us. But, this Tocqueville event serves as an inspiration to folks, but we hope it'll drive many, many more individuals to step up and contribute their own way.
And, Gary, how does that make you feel? What's it going to be like that night? Have you enjoyed any of your, quote, time off yet? Or
I have, of course. I mean, a lot of things have happened, but at the end of the day, I think this is pretty meaningful, to say the least, in terms of getting people to focus on what needs to happen in this community. If you don't do it yourself, it's just not going to get done. I mean, that's my philosophy. And if you sit down and wait for somebody else to take care of this or that, it's not going to get done. And now with grandchildren and with children who are very close in many respects, they live in Baton Rouge, this is a community. It's the metropolitan area. And I mean, not only in workplace campaigns, but individual families really need to get involved. We were talking about that. Get kids involved, and so that they know as they grow up that there's got to be something given back to the community to have the place that you've enjoyed while you grew up. It's a no-brainer for me, and I think for a lot of people, they just sometimes really don't know where to turn because they sometimes don't think anything really makes a difference. But I will tell you that after those things I mentioned before, the hurricane, the oil spill, and then everyday people's problems, the United Way makes a huge difference by the funding of those agencies. And not everything's free. I mean, I was with a guy for lunch the other day, and he said, all you do is give money away. Well, that's not it. You have to have a return on investment. You have to have a measurable outcome. What has happened as a result of providing those resources? And it has to be at least predicted ahead of the funding. So you know that what you've done has a change. And so ultimately, whether you're not very wealthy or you're a middle class like I am that basically works hard and gets things done, this is the way to do it. Nobody gets anything done generally to any major extent by themselves. It has to be collective.
And so many people, I think, believe that it's United Way is for someone else, that oh, I'll never need their services.
Right.
But we've all talked about it's not just that emergency because everybody's crisis can be different. But what about the swim lessons that people get from one of our agencies? What about that after-school program where you're going to be safe and you're going to learn and have a place where mom and dad can continue to work those extra few hours because they're taking care of their family? What about the other good things that you learned? And there are programs that for, as you said, whether you're wealthy, whether you're middle class, whether you're even below or poverty, it is for everyone.
Realistically speaking, my experience has been the very, very poor, which is unfortunate, get tremendous support from our government. The people who fall through the cracks are the ones that United Way is primarily trying to get people the working poor. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, there are a lot of people who are in this community living on minimum wage, which is not able to bring up your family anywhere close to the standards that we all enjoy. So all we're trying to do is to create some equity that people can become more independent and self-sufficient, that they can do things to take care of themselves. We're not talking about giving a handout. It's about a hand up.
And that's something I know that, Michael, you've believed in and still working with and trying to get that message out.
Yeah. We talk to folks in the workplace campaigns all the time. And what we're hearing, what resonates, because you can talk about folks that may be the working poor, living paycheck to paycheck, like so many Americans and so many people in our region. And you start having those conversations in the workplace and people start to nod. And they think about the person in the cube next to them that's going through some form of their own tragedy that challenges, with financial, issues, or, maybe they have 2 children in college and they're trying to make ends meet and trying to do all the right things and live the American dream. And that's really kind of what United Way stands for. It's trying to help individuals become independent and self-sufficient so they can actually, live the American dream. So you're right. It's not just for the poorest of the poor. We meet so many people every day that are just good, hardworking Americans that are just trying to do right. And sometimes they need a little help. It might be utility assistance. It may need connecting resources for their children, because we know having children lends itself to lots of other challenges in life. So that's what United Way is about. And I encourage folks just to think about that. And then I think you'll find it in yourself to find a way to step up and do your part. And Gary's right. It's alone we can't do as much as we can collectively.
And that's what United Way is about. And you can change tomorrow beginning today, because that $1, that $5, that $10, however much you donate could help the person down the street from you, across the lake, down the bayou. We are a region, as you said, Gary, and we're becoming more and more connected as we grow, and those parish lines seem to disappear as we all have to work collectively to see our economy grow. Because you've often mentioned, too, that we help build a strong business base. Because if you don't have a good quality of life here, you're not going to have the business structure. You're not going to have the kind of place where people want to come and open new business because they want that quality of life where they can work, live, and raise a family. And that's what we're about.
Yeah, excuse me. I came before I worked here, was in the Research Triangle Park in North Carolina. That was the strategy that they used in 1970. And they said, we're going to make this so that companies want to come. Everybody's competitive in terms of where these companies are going to go. They're coming out of the Rust Belt. They're coming out of the coal up north. And so at the end of the day, they created a profile by which people wanted to come. There are people who are asked to come to this community, at least historically, that were afraid because of some of the issues that were facing this community. And we've dealt with those issues, and we need to continue to deal with those. There's no question about it. But just think about, this violence that we've seen. I think kids are coming back after the hurricane without their parents. Their new family is the gang that they've hooked up with. They're making $300 to watch and make sure the police don't come while other people selling drugs. Well, these kids aren't stupid. You're going to go to them and say, hey, how about for $50, will you stop doing that and work with me? Well, they're not. We've got to get these people good jobs. We've got to get them good training, and that's really what we've been trying to do.
And that goes back a bit to the transformations we're saying, or the new business case that United Way is trying to make, and where we're putting the stake in the ground and looking at some of these big issues and listening to the people out there about what they have to say.
I love it when people ask me, well, what is United Way doing about whatever? And I'm able to tell them. that yes, we're involved. And since Katrina, United Way has reached out and responded to needs well beyond its original boundaries. And so that's why we have changed our name from United Way of Greater New Orleans to United Way of Southeast Louisiana, because we are reaching out to all. Another thing that I wanted to mention is we do focus on the workplace. That is where we have a large audience. That is where we get tremendous support. Very often, donations of individuals at the workplace are matched by the corporation for which they work. But I also want to say that if there's any individual out there listening to us who is not being reached that way and who wants to contribute, write your check, put it in an envelope, address it to United Way, SELA, 2515 Canal Street, 70119, and we will gratefully accept it and acknowledge it to you. Give us your name and address, and you will then be part of what's a very expanding and exciting group of people who can feel that they are making a contribution to the betterment of their community and to the enhancement of the lives of people who live here.
And Flo, you being on the board, talk about just some of the people that are there. I know we can't name them all, but I want our listening audience to understand these are leaders in every sense of the word who feel as you do that United Way is the philanthropy of this community that's going to help so many and in the right way.
Well, that's true, and we have a lot of people on our board who are the heads of these corporations that we've been talking about, whether it's Entergy or some of the others. People's Health, the head of People's Health is on our board. The chairman of our board is the CEO of Shell, John Hollowell. Wonderful, wonderful friend of United Way and of several of us. But there are also people like me there who is not a head of a corporation, but who cares so much about the community and doing what we can to make it a better place to live.
And Michael, if you could share a few words, because folks, we have just a couple minutes left. What would you like people to take away from today?
Well, it's a call to action. It's a matter of, we know you can't help but watch the news and see that there are issues in the community that are affecting our young children, our teenagers, our senior citizens, and everybody in between, the quality of life. United Way doesn't always have all the answers. We do know what works in many cases and what doesn't work, but we need your voice. We need folks to step up. We need folks to be the next one. This notion of change and making our community better doesn't happen without individual engagement and involvement. And so our message is be a part of the change, because change won't happen without you.
And Gary, normally I'd let you have the last word, but Flo, please, because November 20th, it's all about this man, his wife, and all his good works. Please let the audience know what they can do.
Okay, one more time. The Tocqueville Society Gala honoring Gary and Marianne Ostrowski is held on November 20th this year at the Hyatt Regency, beginning with cocktails at 6 and a delicious, beautiful dinner following. I can attest to that because I have tasted it. And a wonderful program. But it's not a long program, so it's not going to be a long evening. And there will be music, and there will be various people delivering messages of different kinds, and a lot of difference there between what one person is representing and another. It's going to be fun. Gary and Marianne are fun.
There you go.
and we want our evening to reflect that. So I'm urging everyone to try to be with us. $250 a ticket, $2,500 a table of 10. Call us if you can possibly join us.
And please, Gary, I still not the last word, but I'm going to just ask. You will come back. You will continue to be a guest, won't you?
Oh, yeah. I'm not leaving town, that's for sure. We're renovating a house that we've got after Katrina. So, yes, we are in town for the long haul.
All right.
Try to find him.
I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Michael Williamson, President and CEO of United Way of Southeast Louisiana.
Thank you, Terry.
Ms. Flo Shorenstein, you are the heart. If there was a corporation, it would be just called Heart, because you're the heart of this community.
Oh, my
Flo
goodness.
Shorenstein.
Thank you.
Who is the chair of the Tocqueville Society, a former Tocqueville recipient. Thank you so much. And Gary Ostrowski, our former president and CEO. I'm Terry Westerfield. And for United Way, join me, everyone.
Live United.